What is up, G Show Land? I am G73, and today I am having the luxury of hosting the Godzilla Block Party. Today I have two of our panels here today. As always, the guy that leads us, we have G1, aka Ray, and then up from the depths and 30 stories high, we have the ghost of GVA, aka Anthony. Long time since we've gotten him on. How is it going, everybody?
What's up, G Show? What's going on, boys?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the other side of the table today. Thanks for hosting, brother.
Yeah, get you some time to just kind of mellow out, right?
Damn right. I had a long week at work, and yeah, no, I don't want to host.
Man. But wow, no, it's been a while since we've gotten a chance to do this. Complications come up. We're busy with schedules, and a lot has happened in the past couple of months. The last 2 months, we've had some sad news with Haru Nakajima passing away, and we had some great. We finally got the Godzilla Anime trailer, and we had some Godzilla 2 news and some news from Adam Wingard that's kind of like very controversial. But right now, I think we should just pay some respect to the king of the monsters himself, Mr. Haru Nakajima. I think this was a big punch in the gut when he passed away for all of us. I know a lot of people were upset about this, just really mourning his death, and that's just gosh. I mean, I just want to ask you guys, how impactful is this man's death to you guys? I know, of course, it's not because we knew him personally, but how did it kind of affect you guys in a way? I mean, this man to me this was my childhood. This was basically Godzilla to me, and it just kind of stung a little, So I'm gonna go to let's go to the ghost of GVA first, and let's ask him, Anthony, how'd this make you feel? I mean, how'd this affect you?
Well, let me start off with, when we talk about the death of Haru Nakajima and GVA. Now, GVA, my baby, Godzilla vs. All, it was a Facebook page that I've recently shut down for all of you who don't know. It was a very controversial page, but not everything I put on that page was my own beliefs. A lot of it was just, joking around, having fun. And we did a quote-unquote death hoax. I allowed it to happen on GVA. And it was just a joke after how many celebrities we had actually lost in 2016. And, Haru Nakajima's birthday was on the 1st or the 2nd of the new year. And it was just, joking around saying, oh, man, he made it to 2017. He's good. And then the following day we put that he died. And, not a lot of people received the joke so well.
And I remember what this one page kind of mentioned. You guys tried to made an article about it. I remember that.
More than one page. It was a big deal at the time. And at the time, me and the GVA crew, Chase included, we didn't see too much of it. It was just another prank to us, and a lot of people reached out to us, including other pages that were known to get news like, dude, is he really dead? Like, it blew up. It really did blow up. But like I said, that was a joke. That was for laughs. I didn't think it would get anywhere to the size that it did, and it was like, oh well. But but now some months have passed, and we're in the same year. And Mr. Nakajima did pass away. And now, personally, my real feelings, I am sad about it. One of the last few icons from the original Godzilla. Everybody from the show era is pretty much dying off, and they have been dying off for a while. I think Akira Takarada might be one of the last now. Maybe a couple others that I'm not familiar with. But death is sad for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how many genders there are out there. A loss in death is sad, and if it's not going to show you how precious life is. And I know that his health went down the last few months, or this past year. So, in that respect, I'm glad that he's not suffering anymore. But he's gone, and I hope that everything he did will be remembered and not, shit talked. Because there are people out there who really have an opinion that he sucked, and those people, have some bad karma coming their way.
Yeah, those people can go fuck themselves. Excuse my language.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, no, I agree. It's tragic, and as everyone knows, death waits for no one, no matter how old, what you are, where you are. But G1, what about you?
Well, just to ape off of what Anthony was saying in the beginning, you can definitely hear the full story of the GVA's hoax of Haru Nakajima coming sooner than you think on the Life and Death of GVA, a part 2, only here on the G Show Network. As far as the death of Haru Nakajima goes, it's a, an interesting thing. We were coming home that day from Universal Studios. We were driving home, and we stopped at a McDonald's along the highway somewhere. We had to get gas, and then the wife wanted to get a coffee. And as as she went to do that, to get coffee, I was sitting in the car, and I was going through my feed, and the first lady of the G Show, Final Goji, Lindsay, she had posted it up, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, because I had set up the G Show page that particular day, which it was a Monday, as an homage to Ultraman. And then I had to interrupt that feed with that news that Haru Nakajima died. So I was kind of like, wow, because as soon as that happened, a lot of thoughts coming out. Like you said, Chase, we didn't know him personally, but in an effect, we did. Because even though we didn't see the man behind the suit or underneath the suit, inside the suit, we saw a man create a life. We saw a man put on a performance that we all bought into, and that is why we're here talking about it today. And I can remember this, man. If it was growing up in New York in the winters was always my favorite thing, because when the snow would come and the plows would come and push the snow off to the side, and they make these little mounds, and my imagination starts running wild, and I see buildings. And I turn into my favorite monster, and I walk across the snow mounds, crushing them under my boot. It's so cold that, when you breathe, you get the vapor, so automatically you have atomic breath, right? Never knowing that the person I'm imitating, in my mind, I'm imitating Godzilla, but if it wasn't for Haru Nakajima, because I'm doing his walk, I'm using his stride, So that kind of like hit me hard. And my daughter was in the car with me. She was like, "What's wrong, Dad?" I wasn't crying or nothing, but I was like, wow. I just kept saying wow, because all of those memories were flooding back to me. This is before any of the Heisei movies came. I mean, the only movie that was out at that time was maybe Godzilla 1985. Okay? So this is all Haru Nakajima's Godzilla. And I was imitating that because of him doing his walk, most notably from, let's say, Godzilla versus Mothra. That walk in particular, was that 1962? That walk in particular, that was 1964. Okay, thank you. 1964. That Godzilla walk, that was it. So yeah, he had a lot. I mean, shit, I can't even lie. I was a teenager. I was in my 20s doing this shit. I didn't give a fuck. No, I don't care. I still did it. If there's vapor in Vegas when it gets cold out, even though it's very, very, very seldom, I'm going to act like Godzilla, and I'm going to act like the Showa era Godzilla, which was Haru Nakajima. So in that regard, I mean, it is sad. Again, like, we didn't know him personally, but we did in some way idolize that man for what he did and what he portrayed. So my heart goes out to his family. It's sad to see someone leave, but he lived a long, happy life. Because you see pictures of him at G-Fest, and he's always smiling and always willing to take pictures with the fans. And for that, I mean, as a fan, if I was able to meet him, everything would be happy. So for those who did get to meet him, man, kudos to that. He just seemed like a really happy guy, and you know, he's not suffering, like Ant said. He's not suffering anymore, and that's the best thing.
Well, yeah, I think the only difference there from you and I is when you were crushing snow mounds underneath your feet, I was chasing cats.
Come here, Baragon. Come here.
I completely agree with both of you guys. You know, gosh, this man, you know, we didn't know him personally, but the fact that he was this monster that we all identify with and we all just gravitate towards and we all love, you know, it's just kind of, you know, it's a little bit haunting. But we can all agree that, you know, his legacy will never die. It will live on forever through the ages. You know, he paved a big path in his footsteps and created this big, you know, world. And he will never be gone and forgotten. He's always going to be around. And I think it's kind of a job opportunity for us fans to keep that legacy going and remind people. And, you know, and Toho too. You know, any company that does a Godzilla movie or anything, you know, pay some respects, keep it going, and no matter what, as long as they keep doing it, he will never be gone, never be forgotten. And I think that's the main important thing, and the fact that he created this monster that will always be gaining fans and love, and you know, escapes and realities, and you know. It's just something people are always going to be interested in, you know. So
well said,
out of that segment.
That was well said.
Oh, I'm sorry?
That was well said.
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think to getting out of that segment, I think we should move on to one of the bigger pieces of information that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about that I've been wanting to talk about for some time. Is the Godzilla Anime. We have finally gotten the trailer for that thing, and we have some mixed emotions about it. There are some strange things about it. There's some cool things about it, but there's a lot of confusing things about it and bizarre things about it. And I think, G1, I'm going to have you start off. You saw this trailer, and what initially were your first thoughts, my friend?
Coming to Netflix 2017, Biollante, the animated series. Oh, man. Just to refresh my memory, before we started, I watched the trailer again because I know that there was a lot of hate towards the animation, that 3D CG, cel-shaded, whatever you want to call it. And I understand. I like traditional Japanese animation myself. But I was watching it. You know what? I see people's beefs and concerns. It didn't really bother me much. And I gotta be honest, the few glimpses of Godzilla we do see in the trailer, I really dug. I mean, we spoke about this in previous a couple podcasts ago. The silhouette is a 2014 style, but it's not the 2014 Godzilla. We all know that. So in the trailer, we really didn't see anything much. It was what we'll probably get into later when we start seeing like crazy pictures and shit.
But he'll probably release maybe another trailer or something. You got to think.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, overall, again, language barrier. So we don't speak Japanese, and there wasn't no subtitles. Overall, what I saw, kind of dug, and I'm interested in. I can't wait to see more from it. And of course, I can't wait to see the movie. But as far as like all the beefs and complaints, I really don't have any. Not like, when Shin Godzilla dropped it, I was like, what the hell is Zombie Godzilla doing on screen? And I don't know if I'm feeling this too much. But this, yeah, I mean, I understand people's biggest beefs were, as far as the trailer is concerned, the animation. I could look past that as long as the story's engaging. And from what we saw of Godzilla in that trailer, yeah, I'm not mad at it. But I'm saying only what we saw in the trailer. If we move on to the train of thought, I think you're going to go down in a couple of minutes, then we got some other issues.
No, we definitely are. But I want to get let's calm before the storm, I guess you could say. What about you, Anthony? You saw the trailer. What did you think?
I think the trailer does look good. I don't know what too many of the gripes are, but every time something comes out, it never meets the expectations, of everybody, and you're always going to have those people that are like, "Oh, it looks like shit," or like, "Oh, great, that's going to come out." You're always going to have those people, but as far as what I saw in the trailer, it didn't look too bad. It made me interested for sure. But aside from everything Ray said, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I know some of the basic complaints were, and this is the thing. I don't watch anime. I have a problem with kind of watching cartoons, so I don't watch very much. Pretty much the only cartoon I can watch is South Park. So I don't watch very much anime. When I was little, Dragon Ball Z, it hurt my eyes, so I couldn't watch it. And it's because I have my eye doctor apparently says it's because of my stigmatism that I have in my eyes, which is why I wear glasses and shit. But the problem that I was getting, Final Goji was telling me the animation kind of looks or a lot of people were just talking about, basically about the critical elements of the film was basically just the animation. I don't have any knowledge about that, so it didn't affect me in any way. To me, it just looked like a cartoon. I did with anything, it was more, I was just confused. I was more like interested. I was kind of like, okay, this Godzilla in this film, he's here, but is he going up against a certain enemy other than the human plots and the characters? Or is he just completely being this force of nature in the background, which I kind of hope that's not the case. But I'm just more interested in anything. I don't really have any complaints other than some shots that I saw. It looked like Godzilla was just standing there. As again, I don't know really much about animes. I don't know if that's natural in animes or anything. But that's just kind of my worry. I just don't want my first worry is that I don't want this Godzilla to just stand there and do nothing. There's been several
like Shin Goji.
See, the thing is, Shin Goji started doing something when he was getting his ass kicked, but this Godzilla looked like he was just doing nothing. And that's kind of
he's not getting his ass kicked.
Yeah. He's just, they're saying his skin is metal and he has like barely any weaknesses, I guess. But the translations that were coming out were saying that Godzilla is from plant origins. And a lot of people were thinking that he is a plant. Well, some translations that I was getting was just saying that he has just been so long on Earth, and he's just basically started to mutate with the plant, which I don't know what's going on. I don't, I can't really say if I have an issue. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, and I'm stuttering, but I don't know if I have a concern with Godzilla being a plant necessarily. I mean, I hope he's not a plant because I just don't understand why they want to go with that route. I mean, Godzilla's not a flower. He's not a bush. He's not a tree. But I think the real translation is the logical one is that he's here and he is just started to mutate and basically start growing and evolve with the plant. And they're saying Godzilla in this series is supposed to have evolution stages where he grows or does something like that. I don't know as much details about that, but that's what they were saying. He's apparently supposed to evolve. So I don't know where this is going. I mean, apart from the design look, you know, I think it's kind of vague, honestly. I don't think he's very detailed. But, you know, I don't know if that's more to come or whatnot. You know, again, I don't know what animes, you know, basically do. You know, I basically just want to see more. Like, so the beginning part of that trailer where they show them running and there's explosions and you know, and then you see Godzilla in the background and he roars. That was cool. That's what I was like. Okay, if Godzilla does stuff like that throughout the show, you know, I would be perfectly fine. You know, so I'm interested to see how things go. I mean, I don't think they're just going to have Godzilla stand there, but basically, you know, like I said, this trailer left me with more questions than answers. You know, which as all trailers do. But you know, I don't really have any complaints. You know, I'm interested and I'm going to watch it, but there's nothing that I'm like really harping on. You know, I'm just more concerned and interested and just curious. But that's basically all what I got to say. Did I go to you, G1?
Well,
did I ask you?
I did want. I just want to touch upon a couple of things you said there. First off, last time I seen Godzilla have evolutionary steps in a movie, it sucked. And that's right. It was last year's piece of shit Godzilla. I'm sorry, they hate us, Chase. They hate us.
No, that's actually great. You know, what do you guys think about the Godzilla design? You know, about this news you've heard about Godzilla supposedly being a plant or something like that.
That was the second thing I want to touch on. It's an interesting idea, and I'll give you my reason why. When I don't know how long dinosaurs roamed the Earth before the meteor took it out, or aliens took them to Mars, or you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But
you know, we all know it's Donald Trump, okay?
Oh God,
he got rid of the dinosaurs.
He probably did. But you know, plant life has been around forever. Before the dinosaurs, after the dinosaurs, before humans, and well after the humans. But there's always been a balance in each time. Now, you figure like this. With dinosaurs, you had your herbivores and your carnivores. And the herbivores, they're eating the plants up, right? When humanity comes around, we're tearing the trees down. We're destroying the plant life. Now, if humanity is completely gone from the planet and all you have is really Godzilla as the dominant life force on Earth, he doesn't eat plants. He absorbs radiation, right? So now you have a chance for the Earth and the plant life to flourish. And I can see there be...
Well, hold on. And we'll keep in mind, in this franchise, apparently 2 years or 10 years or something like that is supposed to be 100,000 or 200,000 years on Earth.
That's my point. That's my point. So I can see if Godzilla is not going to die, or... this one just came out of left field. Or he does die in that span of eons... The plant life resurrects him in some crazy way or form. I don't really like that idea now that I think about it. But what I'm saying is, being that you have X amount of years, millennium, if you will, for plant life to basically take back the Earth, and Godzilla doesn't necessarily eat animals or plants, it absorbs radiation. Initially, I thought then what's going on is Godzilla probably slumbered for a generation. The plant life grew around him. He comes up and basically he's just in a plant suit. But underneath it, it's still Godzilla. He's Haru Nakajima in a plant suit.
And that's like exactly what I'm thinking. Like, I just think the plants are growing onto him, and he's just forming with them. I don't think he's like a plant seed, and he just sprouted into this monster. That doesn't make any sense.
That would be dope
that's
for
what
me.
People are thinking.
That would be dope for me, because then it's like Swamp Thing and Godzilla, and I love Swamp Thing and I love Godzilla, and I'm totally buying that forever. Like, yeah.
He's a swamp monster.
That's right. Give it to me. But
the swamp ass monster.
It's just, I'm very interested to see, like, maybe the radiation of Godzilla affects the plant life, and in turn it mutates into something different, because again, it's generations that go by. But we shall see. We shall see. Those toys doesn't do it justice, I'll tell you that. It leaves a lot of questions.
Well, here's what I gotta say about it, and it's one thing I have seen and heard the fans talk about, and I understand why. It's another change of origin.
Yeah.
Now it's like you said earlier, it's like Biollante, and maybe Shin Godzilla had some Smog Monster Hydra origins with that. I think it brings confusion to not only the fandom, but maybe people who want to come into fandom. You don't have really like one source of what Godzilla is, one answer for what Godzilla is anymore. Before, he was just a mutated dinosaur, or a lot of people started saying, oh, he's a god. I mean, he's looked at as a god, but you kind of knew what he was. Now, he's a dinosaur, he's a plant, he's a toxic waste. What's next?
The spaghetti monster.
Yeah. The cookie monster in the Showa era, too.
See, I kind of thought they were going with an Oscar the Grouch kind of look.
Sesame Street taking over your Godzilla.
I don't know. It kind of looks a lot like, 2014 base with some Shin Godzilla elements on them.
Well, see, that's exactly what they were doing. They wanted to incorporate the two biggest Godzillas right now, which is Shin Godzilla and 2014. But basically, they weren't really talking about the order, but obviously they're using the silhouette of 2014, and they're doing some minor details that Shin Godzilla had. They're incorporating it. But they said that, Toho specifically said it themselves. That's what they wanted to do. So, and a lot of fans don't know that. A lot of fans don't realize that, and it's kind of obvious.
Well, it's like I was saying, I think it just brings confusion to, like I said, the fandom and people who may want to enter the fandom. People, you're not able to define him. Godzilla's been around 60 plus years, but there's still new fans every day, especially when the inclusion of 2014 came out. And then I think 2016 did bring some new fans, not nearly the number that 2014 did. But, you're going to bring in a new set of fans now with this anime. And maybe even some more weeaboo kids are going to start coming along. Oh, Godzilla's an anime now? Wow. But, changing the source, it's kind of like when Godzilla 98 came out. All these little kids and new Godzilla fans came in. They thought that's what Godzilla was, when that wasn't the origin. Didn't have anything to do with any of the real Godzilla or the first Godzilla, whatever it was. And it brings confusion and separation in the fandom, and that's what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Especially in the anime community, it's going to bring at least some people over. I'm thinking 10 people.
10 people.
But
it's going to bring you into the fold of anime.
I mean, I talk to Final Goji all the time, and she's like, you should watch anime. And I'm like, I just can't get into it. So I'm hoping, maybe if I give this Godzilla anime a try, maybe it'll get me into it. But I don't even know if I'm going to be able to watch it, because some cartoons hurt my eyes. But we'll see. But yeah, no, I think you're on point with that. One thing too, when the Godzilla fandom, a lot of people, as we can see, obviously, they're very prone to jump to conclusions. They're very prone to jump to
None of us here, though, right?
No, none of us.
Maybe me. I'll take the blame. There's a lot of things I jump to conclusions, but it's because of my ADD. So I think there's a lot of things that are just out of context. And as always, there's always something about it, But the thing is, there were a lot of things about Shin Godzilla where we thought weren't going to happen, and they happened because we're like, Toho wouldn't do that. And, well, look what happened. And, who knows? Godzilla may be a daisy sprouting from the earth. We just don't know what's going on. But I think, do any of us have any last, comments on the anime? I mean,
yeah, I just want
anything else you want to end?
Anthony made some really good points, man. He made some really good points, especially in regards to a new generation of Godzilla fans. 2014 brought in a slew of new Godzilla fans, exactly the way he said, the way 1998, kids' first exposure to that, and that's what it was. Now those kids are 20 years old or older than that, and they see what Godzilla is and has been for 60 plus years. We keep getting this different origin. I absolutely agree with it. For us, it's not going to confuse anybody, right? Because we understand and we can all take each movie as it is. I think the Millennium series did a great job of that. But we always had one source, and that was 1954. Shin Godzilla broke from that mold. G14 broke from that mold. Even though they kind of sprinkled in 1954, something happened, we tried to kill it. That was a nice little nod. But overall, completely different origin in both movies. And, you had your nods. This is something else. We don't know whether or not this is going to have any ties to 54 or, again, a brand new origin. So, in a span of, 3 years, we got 3 different origins for Godzilla, 4 years, you know what I mean? So, it's wonky. It's kind of wonky, especially for, let's say kids who just found Godzilla from 2014 or people who found Godzilla with Shin. And the people, if anybody's finding Godzilla with this anime for the first time, something completely wrong with the world. Just throwing that out there. Because he's been in the spotlight. Because he's been in the spotlight in the last 5 years, prominently in our field. And I include anime in this little bubble we have here. Because anime comes from Japan, and Godzilla, guess what, comes from Japan. And if you don't know what Godzilla is, you should know what anime is. You shouldn't even know what Japan is. I'm just saying, unless you're 2.
All right, well, anything you got to say, Auntie, before we wrap that segment up?
No, I'm good.
All righty. So,
thanks, JR.
We got a little bit of Godzilla 2 news. Actually, quite a bit of Godzilla 2 news. Mike Doherty is not being shy with posting what he's doing. We obviously know now that there's this big scene being filmed in Mexico. I think it's done being filmed now, but we had this big thing, and basically they were filming this scene where certain monsters, maybe we shouldn't name them, but we're just gonna basically name them. Godzilla and Rodan are basically, this scene is supposed to be one of the biggest scenes in the film. And it's filmed in Mexico around Isla de Mona, I guess that's what it's called, the island. But this is a fictional island, by the way. It's not real. It's a volcano. It's not real, by the way, for people wanting to know. But Mike Doherty was talking about that and basically saying that this was he didn't say specifically Rodan, but we know a creature is supposed to emerge from a volcano, and I just think it's
Smog monster. Inside joke.
It's definitely not going to be. It's definitely not going to be Mothra. It's not going to be Rodan. King Ghidorah. And so we basically just know it's. Who knows? Does Godzilla emerge from the volcano? I don't think so. But I don't know if you guys saw.
He has.
Twice.
Yeah, that was actually badass.
3 times.
Twice. Yeah. No, 3. Yeah. Several times. But I don't know if you guys saw the footage that was being filmed. But clearly, the soldiers run and scream, "Oh, it's or the villagers, it's Rodan, it's Rodan." They say that in this film. If you listen carefully. And,
I gotta, before I post this, I'm definitely gonna preface this. But listen, when you get to like the 33-minute mark, you might want to, if you want to avoid spoilers, because you completely forgot to say spoiler alert.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. But yeah. I didn't think that was spoilery, but but anyways, so talking about that, I mean, what are your guys' initial thoughts on this? Since I'll jump to you, Anthony, hearing about them, going to Mexico and filming Rodan. I mean, I know you're Italian and Mexican, so.
That's dirty.
You're like, fuck you, Chase.
Yeah, just because we have the same flag.
All right.
No, I think it's smart. If that's going to be Rodan's origin, because if Godzilla pretty much was around, somewhere between Hawaii and San Francisco, the last movie, Mexico is not too far off. So you don't want, somebody, way out from China or, Russia and Antarctica. You need something relatively close by, especially if it can fly, to bring the action to the movie right away. I'm excited about it, but you guys like to know. I'll just wait. Rather than over speculate and look like an ass when the movie actually comes out.
No, I agree. But G1, what about you? Hearing this news.
I saw the footage. I didn't see the footage where you said that the villagers were running, but I did see a footage, behind-the-scenes footage of like mass destruction and people running, and I was digging the shit out of it. I was like, "Oh, this looks like
it was this
fun."
one where people were by a helicopter.
Yeah, they were running into yeah. It was just like, but I didn't hear like any names.
Yeah. It's towards the end. A guy points and he starts yelling, "Oh, look, Rodan!"
Okay, so I don't think I got that far, or the video was cut. I'm not sure. But I did see it, and I thought, okay, this is the type of shit I like. In any Godzilla movie, you have that massive, frantic, run for the border type of, wow, that's kind of funny considering they're in Mexico. But, they run for the hills type of mentality. We got to get to safety. So I'm a big fan of that. This shot I saw reminded me a lot of Gamera 2, when they were at the heliport and Gamera's flying towards the pod and Legion pops up and, there's a brouhaha there. I was digging it. As far as it being Rodan, I mean, I can totally buy that. I cannot pronounce the name, but it makes a lot of sense. Mexico is kind of like the bridge to South America, and in the South American countries, you have that the Q, the giant, the Thunderbird, the quasi. You guys know what I'm saying, right? I can't pronounce the name.
I can barely hear you right now for some reason.
Oh, for real? Okay.
But I think I know what you're getting to, though.
Yeah, so I can see Rodan being that like mythical Latin American Thunderbird, the Q. I gotta call it the Q.
Got it.
I can't.
I got it. And there was a phoenix. Yeah, but no, we know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't pronounce the word. It's like quasi quackle quacky quack. You know what I'm saying? But so being in Mexico, I totally buy that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And of course, Rodan died in a volcano. Rodan was born in a volcano. Rodan came out of volcanoes. We've seen that numerous times. So for them to just continue that trend for American audience who never watched those old Showa movies, yes, it works 100%.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, touching on that, wasn't one title of Rodan when it was translated or produced? Wasn't it called Volcano Monsters?
Yeah, it was. It really was. And it's Quasiquaxel, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But so I
Quasiquatl or something.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that because I totally buy if that's the case. Godzilla fighting Rodan in Mexico. If they go that route and say, yeah, this is like this, mythical Latin American Thunderbird, I love it. I love it. One of the things I'm really interested in is them giving them their names. That's one of the things that for whatever reason, in genre movies, whether it's Godzilla or horror, I've always wanted to know how they come up with these names, right? So, when we grew up, Rodan is Rodan. So the first time I saw Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 in 1993, it wasn't dubbed, all in subtitle, and they called him Radon. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I go back, because I was like, wait a minute, that rang bells, because in Terror of Mechagodzilla, Katsura is talking about resurrecting those, what were they called? The something monsters. And she said...
Terrible Manda.
Mighty Raiden. Remember that part? She calls Rodan Mighty Raiden. She doesn't even say Rodan. She says Mighty Raiden. Right. And I never understood that as a kid. Like, wait, that's Rodan. What the fuck is Mighty Raiden?
I think I know the answer to that, and I think in Japanese it is Radon instead of Rodan.
Rodan. Yeah, no, I know that now. Yeah, I know that now. But like I'm saying, so that's one of the things I'm very interested in, how they come about giving him this name. Like, Gojira was something the Islanders called this monster in the Pacific, right? Where are we going to get King Ghidorah from? Mothra, I guess, could be self-explanatory. It's cave paintings and on the wall says Mothra. I could buy that. But yeah, so with that, and in horror movies, I was always interested in, well, if they killed Freddy and Jason, how the fuck are they coming back in the next one? I was always like, that's the only reason why I watch these movies. How they resurrected these, mythical monsters. So I went on a tangent there, but I'm looking forward to seeing. I believe it's Rodan. I'm totally 100% on board with it. I totally 100% like the idea of using that mythical Q-bird from Latin America to be Rodan. So I'm all on board, and I like the footage I saw. I really did.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with it too. I really am loving the fact that they're paying some homage and nostalgia. It kind of reminds me of in Ghidra, the three-headed monster, when they're all around the volcano and Rodan pops out of the dirt in the side of the volcano. Like I love that. I would love to see something like that. So I'm all hyped for it. I'm excited. But just the fact that they're making this, like, it's supposed to be one of the biggest scenes in the movie. That's what they're hyping it up to be. I'm really interested to see what's going on here because apparently Godzilla is supposed to be established before this. So I'm just wondering, story-wise, how it's going to go down and everything. So I'm interested to see what's going on. I'm super hyped. But going on further from that, we've had some Godzilla versus Kong news from Adam Wingard, or maybe we didn't get news from him. There was some news articles coming out. He was doing some interviews in Japan for his Death Note release. And some articles came out basically asking him about Godzilla versus Kong. And they were stating that, one, Godzilla versus Kong will take place directly after Godzilla 2. And two, there's going to be multiple monsters in Godzilla versus Kong. And three, there's going to be a definitive winner in Godzilla versus Kong. So we had all this news come up, and I'm going to go into a little bit further with it. But basically, this guy was asking Adam Wingard about it, and he basically told him No, those articles are not true. None of that is happening. The script isn't even written, and we have barely any ideas for what we want to do with Godzilla versus Kong other than the fact he wants to make it emotional. And so, what are your guys' thoughts on all that? I mean, do you guys think he's just covering his ass, or do you think it's actually true? I mean, I know articles come out all the time and they lie just for clickbait to make a few quick bucks. But what do you guys think about this? You know, and what if if we add to the what if scenario, what do you guys think basically would go down? G1, what do you think?
First off, you're not going to be able to have like a sit-down interview with Adam Wingard right now in regards to Kong versus Godzilla. So they must have caught him on a red carpet somewhere at a movie premiere, promoting something he's involved in. And if that's the case, there's a transcript somewhere. Because they recorded it, and then they went back, and they typed it out. So all we got to do is find the original footage of that interaction, and we can get all our answers there, whether he said it or not. That being said, I've been on this podcast numerous times saying there's no way in hell I believe that Godzilla vs. Kong is just going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. It's going to be they meet, they fight, they team up, they kill King Ghidorah. That's your definitive winner, in my personal opinion. Honestly. And that's where you get the multiple monster thing from. So whether or not he said it, I was always of the belief that there was going to be multiple monsters. There's going to be multiple monsters regardless because you have Kong and Godzilla in the same movie. So there you go. You know? So what he's saying is true, to quote Star Wars, from a certain point of view. It's all there. So I've never not given thought to there not being another creature outside of Godzilla and Kong in this movie. I'm going to stick to my guns until the movie comes out, until the end of Godzilla 2. King Ghidorah, by all means and rights, should be such a threat, because this is the world we live in here in America, so this is an American production. It should be such a threat that it has to go on. And, hey, maybe Rodan and Mothra survive. Maybe we get some new creatures. Maybe they're able to pull and pick from Toho's vault and bring in something new for Godzilla vs. Kong. And we have what Gareth Edwards wanted to do. We have a legitimate American version of Destroy All Monsters for our big finale. And I'm totally on board with that. Sign me up. Take my money right now.
All right. Going on to that, I mean, you reminded me that we'll go into it after this. We'll go back to it. But Mike Doherty did post something else that was kind of controversial. But we'll go into it after that. But you just reminded me of that. Goes to GVA. What are your initial thoughts? I mean, you're the one that I know you want Kong to win. I know you want Kong to beat Godzilla. I mean, you do that all the time. You even have a shirt that says Godzilla. I mean, you said a shirt saying Kong is always going to win. So, you know, and you have underwear that say Godzilla lost to Kong. So, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Okay, wait. Come in 2020, KVA.
It's actually not true. It's another GVA thing where I just get under people's skin. Realistically, I think big budget films don't give leaks. Multiple monsters, it's a given, man. Look at Skull Island. There was multiple monsters there. Doesn't mean Kong fought all of them. That's a take it with a grain of salt. I don't think he's gonna give out all those things that he was saying. I don't even think it was backpedaling. I think he was just get juicy little tidbits just to get hype for the movie, and that's what you're supposed to do for a big movie.
But what do you think about him coming out and denying all of that?
More hype, more attention, more just a DVA prank.
This just in. The actually Adam Wingard.
That's one thing. No, it's one thing people it's one thing people forget. Showmanship. In order to attract attention, you need to attract attention, and that's what he's doing. He's doing a great job of it. He's sucking people in, and they're falling for it. So bravo.
Yeah, you know what? Just to touch real quick, just to touch off what Ant just said. Absolutely agree with the showmanship thing. Godzilla 1 came out in 2014. We're not getting the sequel 5 years later. Kong was a placeholder, but it was a different thing. Not many people go into seeing Kong Skull Island understanding the connection. We do. You know what I'm saying? So, like Anthony said, to just build up a hype train now, it makes perfect sense to keep it in the average person's head. Those people...
Keep it fluid.
Exactly.
No, so, that's the thing. It's like, I'm kind of indifferent about all of it. This is the thing, I hate when movies come out, when they have years still ahead of them and they're posting so much information. Like, the Godzilla 2 news is, like, driving me nuts. But in the reality of it, in a blink of an eye, it's going to be here. But I like the stuff that they're posting and everything. It's just driving me insane. And it's like I wish they didn't. I kind of wish they kind of would hold off. But the thing is, with today's technology in this day and age, everyone's a snitch, no matter what you do. In the people you work with, no matter where you go, people are going to find out what you're doing. And if it's not there, it's basically just because you just can't find it. I'm a little, it's a little bit overwhelming at times, because it's so much information and so much hype, but it's like, come on. It's like, you just want to see anything. But I personally feel like it's not going to be just a Godzilla versus Kong deal, because that's not how Hollywood works. You can't have one fandom kill another fandom. You can't have Kong kill Godzilla. You can't have Godzilla kill Kong. But with leading into that, or leaving
winner doesn't mean kill.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we know that from the '62 film. Kong didn't kill Godzilla. Just gave him a concussion.
Excuse me. Minya says Godzilla's stronger underwater. Kong ran away. I want to hear that bullshit.
Hey, you know what? That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about it that way. I actually watched Godzilla vs. Kong last night, and that's a good point to put it. But leading into that, a piece of information I kind of missed was Mike Doherty posted a picture of the Oxygen Destroyer.
Whoa!
And that made everybody piss their pants. But the question is, do you guys think it was just a plot, like a little piece of like something that's going to be a nostalgia piece of homage that we're going to see in the film, or is it actually going to be a plot point that they're going to use? Now, take granted, I don't know if this has any connection. They are filming a scene in Japan for Godzilla 2. They were just announced that. There will be a scene in Japan. So, but what do you guys think? Anthony, one more time. What do you think about them adding the Oxygen Destroyer?
I think it's a great...
Do you think it's just going to be like a little set piece that's going to be a nod, or is it actually going to be used?
If it gets used, it's not going to work. Or there's going to be multiple Godzillas. That's the only thing
Godzilla?
I can think of it.
What?
Well, I mean, now Godzilla can have a destroyer origin. You know what I mean?
That would be great. I would love to see a legendary version of Destroyer.
JR right now is like, yes, I've called it since the beginning.
Then he cracks open his beer and just looks off into the sunset.
I mean, not the one thing, and redoing or remaking is another. We can't assume that all the origins of all the monsters they're going to use are going to be the same. I mean, Godzilla's itself was already changed. You know, it looks like Mothra is going to be changed a little. So it would just be a nod. It's going to be a nod, or it's going to be something that doesn't take full effect like we thought it would.
Okay. You, G1, I see you kind of jumping in your seat here.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't lie. I agree with Ant. I'm going to say this. The Oxygen Destroyer is going to play a major part in this movie, plot-wise. But I agree. What he just said at the end there, it ain't going to work. And I love that idea. I love it. Because if it works, then what the fuck do we need Kong versus Godzilla for? We don't. It's over. Everything is done for. So it doesn't work. And I think
unless they carry it over into Godzilla versus Kong.
That's a great point, too. That is a great point. Maybe this is an idea they have in Godzilla 2, and we have to get rid of these things. And my biggest interest is seeing how Kong is going to play into the end, because we know it's going to happen. The end of Godzilla 2. And that's my biggest interest.
Now, and the thing is, Mike Wingard, Adam Wingard, he did say that Kong will be rugged looking and older looking. So,
well, you got to think too. That's great because Godzilla is already eons older than Kong. Godzilla is old. He's the last of his kind, the way Kong is. But we don't know when Kong, was doing his thing. We know in '54 they tried to blow Godzilla up with a nuke. That didn't happen, and he's been around longer than that. So. We know, even though he doesn't have the beard of anime Goji, he's old. You know what I'm saying? So, but my whole thing with the Oxygen Destroyer, when I saw that pic, I was like, wow, I love this idea. Because, again, for the average movie-going person, they don't know what that is. We do. We get excited because we've seen that thing twice. Okay, in the original and in Destroyer. And in Destroyer, it really wasn't like a thing. It was just like in the beginning, and it did an animated title text thing. But the Oxygen Destroyer played a part. It was a pivotal plot point in that film, in Destroyer, because it resurrected those microorganisms. I love the idea of the Oxygen Destroyer in an American version of Godzilla, because the Oxygen Destroyer is, to me, one of the greatest weapons humanity has ever created. I mean, you have the atomic bomb, and guess what? That didn't work. So what do we have to do next? We have to use something that just destroys oxygen. All of these creatures need to breathe. It's evident. You see Godzilla, when he wakes up in 2014, you see his nostrils open and the breath, he breathes. So I'm open with this idea. I can't wait to see how they utilize it. And I think it's going to play a pivotal part in the series going forward.
Those are all great points, and just thinking about it, it's like, I think the problem with me was once the Oxygen Destroyer was shown, I got messages on Megalon and personal messages, and people were just like, oh, they're going to use the Oxygen Destroyer. They're going to use the Oxygen Destroyer. And I completely jumped to conclusion, well, if they use the Oxygen Destroyer, that means it's going to kill the monsters. But the thing is, what Anthony said, I mean, it doesn't have to kill the monsters. And I agree with that. I think, thinking about it, I mean, that would be too much of a obvious conclusion. And I think they're not going to go that route because we have seen something like that before. I think it would just be kind of pointless to do that and kind of anticlimactic, if you will. But it would be much more exciting if they try to use it and it has like little to no effect on the monsters. The point of this franchise, that they're doing is monsters exist and there's basically nothing we can do about it. So I think that would be kind of appropriate if they went that route. Or if they use the Oxygen Destroyer and it creates something worse, who knows what's going to happen? But those were all great points.
I want to say real quick, I think what Gareth Edwards' movie set up was important. Is Godzilla a friend or foe? It seems like it's a friend, but the fact of the matter is, as human beings, this is something we don't understand and we cannot control. you have people who build these cities, invest a lot of money in them, and millions of people live in them. And if something, let's say natural, like a hurricane, what's going on right now with Hurricane Harvey in Texas, you know, it's a scary reality because people lose their lives over something that's natural. And in this universe, it seems like these creatures are these natural disasters that all of a sudden pop up and spring up on us. But we can try to do something about it because they're creatures. We go hunting. That's in our nature. We automatically assume we're the smartest things on this earth. So there's a way to overcome this thing. We can't stop a natural disaster. You can't stop a hurricane or tornado or an earthquake. You just can't, right? But something that's living and breathing, we can stop it. Let's create this oxygen destroyer. If not, this is how they'll use it, propaganda. If not, millions of lives will be lost. So let's fund this idea. I love, 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 love that mindset going in. But what Gareth Edwards set up was Godzilla came to San Francisco. We didn't see what he did in Hawaii, right? Because like everybody loves to point out, they cut it off. But we saw what happened in San Francisco. We saw the destruction, but as soon as everything was done, Godzilla got up and walked away. Said, yo, I'm out. My job's done. I'm going back to the ocean. Y'all can't fuck with me. So it's this thing here now that is Godzilla a friend or foe? I would personally, if we lived in that world, say, well, he left. He didn't get up. And G2000, the motherfucker, he didn't blow up Orga and then blow up the rest of Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to kill that. You know, we gotta kill that thing. He didn't give a fuck. Like, that Godzilla was like, you know what, man? Fuck all y'all. Boom! And blew up the whole, you know, like, yeah.
He didn't say, this is my ball in the yard and pop the ball.
Word up. So,
hey, that's what I like about it. Because they said Godzilla's inside each and every one of us. It was like,
good Lord have mercy. So, yeah, in that regard, it's a very interesting concept to play with. And I think Legendary is playing with that concept because at this point in time, they know that Godzilla exists. And then they know that there's other things out there or other things that might pop up. And as fans of the franchise that we are, we're excited to see the new versions of Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. We saw Kong already. We know Kong exists here. This is great for us. But for the average movie-going audience, for the people like, let's say my mother and father, who, yeah, they've watched maybe 3 Godzilla movies with me. And one of them was 2014 and maybe 98. But, like, if they go see these movies, it's all new to them. Like, my mother doesn't know what the oxygen destroyer is. You know what I mean? My cousins don't know what... My female cousins don't know what the oxygen destroyer is. And for them to go into this movie now and see it in this world that we live in, that everything is like a mega franchise, this being no exception, I love it. I love that the things we grew up loving is now going to be put up in a bigger audience. It's getting out there. So, yeah, that's my 5 cents.
And anything else you want to add to that, Anthony?
No, I said this on one of my first podcasts that, you know, back we were talking about Godzilla 2014, bringing the new audiences in. And that's exactly my point from earlier when we were talking about the origins and confusing people, because we're bringing people in now that we're hitting like a bigger mainstream status. Probably the biggest the name has been since he first came out, and the way the world is and the way the world understands things. You keep changing origins, you're just going to cause confusion and separation in the fandoms.
Can I argue that point? Let me argue this point.
Yeah.
I get you. I totally do. In the fandoms, I could see that. But as fans, we know better, right? Now, that being said, Shin Godzilla had a very limited theatrical release out here. And the only people that went to go see that was us. And the reason why we went to go see that is because we knew what to look for. There was no promotion on television for that. You know what I'm saying? None. So again, like, I got to see Shin Godzilla the first time on my father's dime because he was here in my house visiting us, my mother, that at that particular point in time, and the tickets went on sale. And we were all in my house at the time. Me and my brother was like, "Oh shit, tickets on sale! Let's get them." And my father was like, "What are you talking about?" And we said, "Oh, there's a new Godzilla movie coming out from Japan." He was like, "How much are the tickets?" My father paid for me, my brother, and my daughter to go see the movie. Right? He didn't see it though, but he had no clue. We knew, right? The same thing is the case for the animated Godzilla. We know about this because we're actively searching for things like this. We're actively open to this. My mother has no idea that there's an animated Godzilla movie coming out, nor does she care. But when Godzilla 2 starts really running its promos, that's all over national television. It's in the people's eyes. So the origin confusing people, I think that might be a little bit overblown only because, and I'm contradicting myself from, 50 minutes ago. I think it might be overblown because we understand where this is coming from, but the outside audience doesn't get to see any of this because it's not promoted. We're on top of it. They're not. They'll watch their TV shows. They'll watch their soap operas. They'll watch their game shows, their reality shit. And when Godzilla 2 comes out, they'll see the trailers for that there. They'll watch their sports. They'll watch football. You know what I'm saying? Baseball, basketball. And those trailers will run there. But Shin Godzilla would not run there because it's limited release. The anime Godzilla definitely ain't running there because that's a Netflix thing. They're not going to know about those things, so they won't be confused with those things, regardless of age.
Netflix is pretty big, though.
Netflix is big,
Netflix is pretty big.
But they're not going to... Look, I could see them promoting House of Cards, maybe Orange is the New Black. I'm not saying I've seen it, but I'm saying I can see them doing that. They won't promote Godzilla. They really won't. That's more for the fandom. You know what I'm saying? So when Godzilla 2 rolls around, oh, they made a sequel to that movie. Oh, and King Kong's incorporated with it. Oh, because again, a lot of those average movie-going audience, they're not going to stay to the end credits for Kong. They're going to leave. We're going to stay.
No, I can completely vouch for that. Working at a movie theater, when I was doing my sets for the Kong Skull Island movie, people had no idea at all that it connected with Godzilla. And when I told them, if you're going to see it, stay till after the credits, there's something at the end of the credits, they would be like, oh, really? And when I cleaned the theaters, but when people would be walking out, I said, did you guys stay for the end of the credits? They'd be like, oh, no, we didn't. We didn't know there was an after credits. And then people would talk to me about it. Like, I'd be like, oh, did you see Kong yet? Kong Skull Island? They'd be like, yeah, we did. And I said, I'm so excited for that, because it's going to be incorporated with Godzilla 2. And they'd be like, oh, really? We didn't know that. And I'm like, so there's a lot, And there's people out there that have no clue.
And that's the point because...
Well, yeah, I can see that.
And Godzilla is referenced, not by name, but it's referenced in the beginning of Kong when John Goodman says, in 1954, they tried to kill something. Now, we suck that in. We suck that in because, we're us. But the average person who saw that Godzilla movie maybe one time in 2014 does not remember that line 3 years later when they see Kong. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know. That's just a throwaway line to them. For us, we're like, oh my God, Godzilla confirmed, And that's my whole thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see glossed over the average person.
No, definitely. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, the promotions and, what they try to do to broadcast Godzilla 2 around when it comes, But we got Pacific Rim 2, and we got, Jurassic World 2, and we got The Predator. We got a few movies coming out before that to hold us over, and our Marvel movies. So we got to kind of sit tight for a little bit.
Star Wars. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, and of course, the most important, Star Wars. So we got to sit tight and hang out. And that's the thing. I just hope kind of the Godzilla hype kind of dims down a little bit because it's driving me nuts. I get knots in my stomach, and that's not good for my kidney stones. We gotta
try eating healthy.
No, I need to keep drinking more water.
That too. That's part of eating healthy.
Yeah, that too. Hey, actually, well, Mr. Workout and Health Fanatic now. I mean, I'm proud of you, man. So
now.
Yeah, well, it took me a while. I didn't approve it first.
Somebody's getting in shape to play Godzilla.
Back in the day, dude, I was a big time powerlifter, strongman, and pro wrestler for a long time.
Well, I know you're doing some workout stuff now, or dieting now, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm not even exercising that much now, but I've lost about close to 80 pounds so far.
Well, hey, man, that's something, man. That's something good. I mean, I know with me working at the theater, I've lost about 20 pounds, so I'm happy with that.
From eating popcorn only?
No, I think it's just poverty. I don't have any money. I'm going to look like Cartman when they put him on the cross because I can't have any food. All raggy and shit. But anyways, I think that's about it for most of the Godzilla news that has really come out. I can't think of anything that I remember that has been mentioned, but I think I just want to end this off with saying, give a few moments of silence for Haru Nakajima. Give him about 10 seconds. So. And I think at the end of that, we should just say, do we have any final thoughts? Anything we got to say?
Great podcast,
Anthony?
Man. Watch the next G Show podcast. Godzilla Block Party.
Anything with you, Ray?
It's a great podcast, man. I'm glad I didn't host it. I like this. I like this format. Going forward.
No, it was a pleasure talking with you guys as always. I had so much fun, and I can't wait till the next podcast we get because we should be getting more news. And it seems like every month we get something bigger and bigger. So let's keep our eyes out. And until next time, guys, this was the Godzilla Block Party at the G Show. You all take care.